Hello everyone, welcome back. And this is Naveen from UiBrains. So, for the continuous of last videos, we were discussing about AJAX tutorial. So, as we discussed, there are three ways we can make AJAX calls. The very first one is XML HTTP request, and second one is fetch API. So, we have completely discussed about XML HTTP request and fetch API, and now this is the third way of discussing AJAX request. So what was that is Axios. So Axios is actually one third-party library which is given by the Node.js. So let me give you an information here. Axios. So let me open to the notepad. Okay. So here, let's make Axios. So Axios actually one third-party library. So using this, we can make again Ajax call. So last fetch API and normal Ajax, we have made our own custom library, right? I mean a custom API to make get, post, put, and delete requests. So this is uh, given third-party library, so we don't need to write anything. We just have to just use the library. It's more easy and it's far less code you have to write using Axios for Ajax requests. So let's see how to integrate the Axios to the browser environment and also how to make the requests using Axios. And most probably in React.js applications, you will use Axios, this Axios library to make the Ajax calls. But now without React, we are just discussing about the plain JavaScript, how to make Ajax calls with Axios library. So let's see how to integrate this Axios library to your application. So this Axios, when I go to Google and let me search for Axios. Okay, so when you go to Axios, there is a GitHub repository for Axios. This is the official Axios repository, and here there are multiple ways you can install this. And you using Node.js npm you can install, or Bower or Yarn you can install. And if you're using for client-side environment, you can use either of the scripts, either the script tag extra you have to add. So what was this is one JavaScript file they have built. Let me copy this URL and paste it. So this is actually the Axios library. Okay, so we are using this library to make the Ajax calls. And again, uh, as we are discussing about the regular Ajax examples, so we discuss again three types of example. The very first one is basics. Okay, so here we'll see how to get the text file and JSON data and API data. And second one will make REST API to perform get, post, put, and delete requests. And third one again employee portal. Again, we'll make an employee portal application using only Axios as a backend. So frontend will be same as usual, what we have done as of now, and backend will be the actual JavaScript library will be the Axios. Okay, so let's start about this application now. So for that, I'll do one thing. I have already opened WebStorm. What I do is I'll just copy the fetch API basics, because anything you can make, you can copy of this one or this one, your choice. Let me copy the fetch API basics, copy, and paste it in the main application folder. So let's make it as 07 underscore Axios underscore basics. Okay, so here we have data folder with text file and JSON file and app.js. We don't need this one, we have to make this by ourselves. Okay, and index.html. Everything is fine, but I want to modify this, not fetch, it is Axios. Okay, Axios library basics. Okay, so let's make it Axios basics. Okay, fine. Let me open this in the browser once. So back to my live server, Axios basics. Yes, I got this. So now when I click on text data, get text data and JSON data and API data. But before we do all this external library you have to connect to your local. So what I do is this one. Anyway, I just copied this HTTP URL to the here. Let me save this local file. So save as um, axios.min. Okay, desktop save. So I got the JS file. So let me grab the JS file here. Let me cut this and keep it in my local folder here. Okay, fine. Axios.js is here. So let me connect that to my HTML first. So below this, so before your app.js, you have to connect because our app.js is dependent on Axios Library. So Axios Library has to be loaded first. So script src is equal to Axios. Okay, fine. So Axios has been loaded and app.js. So fine. So now let's start with how to use Axios library to make the get request to fetch different data. So now back to app.js. So first let's start with what close it. Let's start with text data button to fetch data from a local text file. So text data button. So let's text button is equal to document.query selector of hash. So what was the ID of text is text btn. Okay, and then so text btn dot add event listener of click events comma one function. Okay, so here what I do is mm, okay, let's make fetch text data. Okay, so let's call that fetch text data. So let's fetch text data. Okay, this is my function. So I'm making an arrow function. Okay, so now let's start with Axios. So Axios is quite simple, same like our fetch API. Customize how we have done for fetch API the same way. So here you use Axios, which is coming from axios.min.js. So you must have to connect that. Axios dot I need to get data. So get Axios dot get. Okay, so again this get will give you a promise which contains the resolve and reject. So how to handle is dot then sorry dot then dot catch. So like this is quite simple, simplest one. Axios dot get dot then dot catch. So here get what was the URL to fetch data. Our having a local file, so dot slash data folder slash what was the text file is message.txt. So let's make message.txt, and for then you will be having a handler catch also handler. So here you actually gets the response, and you can check a condition here. If response dot status is equal to 200. Okay, you can do like this. If it is not is equal to 200, you can send an error. Okay, you can make a console dot log of something went wrong. Okay, with the status you can make response dot status. Okay, you can do like this, and you can just return from there. Okay, if any error just returns, otherwise you will get data. So data is like this. Let's file contents is equal to you get actually response objects. So response dot data. So when I say response dot data, so this will be the result of this content. Okay, file content. So let me do a console log now. Console.log of file content. So what was the file content coming in a console log is, let's check now. So let me inspect console window. So here when I just click on text, yes, I got the text file data, but this text file data final conclusion is it'll just keep it on a card body. So let me get the ID of it. It's a text card. Let me attach there. So I will make let's directly write. So document dot query selector of hash card dot inner HTML is equal to, I use a backtick, I just write normal h3 tag, and inside the h3 I want to display the file content. So the file content I'm going to display on my card, and if any error, you can handle the error simply console dot error of error. That's it. So this is how you can make Axios requests. So let's check now. Click on text data. So without refresh, you got data from a text file. And same story, we have to do it for JSON. So let's make a JSON data. Just click on the JSON data button. So for JSON data button, we have an ID what JSON btn. Copy that. So here JSON button. So let JSON button is equal to document dot query selector of hash the button, and JSON button dot add event listener of click and one function. Okay, so here uh, again I'll call a function. So fetch JSON data. Let me create a function now. So let's fetch JSON data is equal to one arrow function. So here you have to fetch the data from the server. So again, what you have to do is Axios dot get request. So what was the URL you are fetching from is data slash the file name. So what was the file name? Mobiles dot JSON. So you can just say mobiles dot JSON. Okay, so it returns a promise again. So dot then sorry dot then and dot catch. Okay, so let's make the handlers, and for catch is the handler. Okay, so here you will get actually response, and the same thing I want to handle is if any status other than 200 I want written, and then you get data is like this. Let's take like this. So content is equal to response dot data. Just simply remember always response dot data. So whatever the parameter you return dot data is actually data. So let's make a console log now. So console dot log of content. Okay, let's check what is the content is coming from the this particular file. Is that JSON content or string content? Let's see. Okay, go back to inspect console. Here when I click on a JSON data, yes, I got actually the object itself. Okay, we have JSON data itself. Okay, so we don't need to convert back to an object because we have already objects. So this object we have to convert like a UL tag and display on the card. So directly, so let's make, I can call this as mobile because we directly got the mobile object. Okay, so let's me make a HTML template. So let HTML template is equal to UL tag. I want to just display them like a in a UL format. UL, and with the class you can give of bootstrap. So list a group, and inside you can give some list items with a class called list group item. So here I will display the, I think ID first. ID is you're gonna get mobile.id, and like this we have multiple fields. I think it is one second. ID brand color price. Okay, so this is ID brand. So this is gonna be the mobile dot brand, and this is color, and this is gonna be the color, and this is gonna be the price, and this is also price, and we don't need this li. Fine, so we got a template, and this template we have to attach to the card body. So for the card body, this we have an ID, that is JSON card. Copy that here. So let's make it document dot query selector of hash dot inner HTML is equal to HTML template. Okay, if you want you can give some just margin top 1. Okay, looks good. So fine, so we got data, and just simply convert this like a HTML and inject to the JSON card. So if it is error, let's make it let me handle the catch console dot error of error. Okay, let's check now. Text data is coming and JSON data. is also coming over here. So using Axios library. And one last thing in this example is API data. So API data is exactly same, but only thing is you have to get data from a external URL. So for this we are using an external URL called JSON placeholder. So let's go to the jsonplaceholder.com and go to the official website. Here if you just drag to the bottom, you can find something called users link. If you click on users link, you get all the list of users. So this data we have to get from my application using Axios library. This is the URL. So first of all, let's click on this API data button. So let's start with API data button. So let's API. I need to have an ID of the button. So I think it's yeah, API button. Copy that back here. So let's API button is equal to document dot query selector of hash API button. So API button dot add event listener of click events comma one function. Okay, so when the click happens, let's call function. So fetch API data. So let's create the function called let's API data. Let's API data is equal to one arrow function. So here you have to make the Axios again. So I'll write Axios dot get. You have to make a URL dot then dot catch. Okay. So what is the URL you are going to fetch for API is my JSON placeholder slash users. Copy that URL and paste it here. Okay, and dot then you need to handle and also for catch. Okay, so here you will get the response, and this response you need to check the condition, that is this condition is common for all. Let's make it, and then data. So what's the data is coming is let users is equal to response dot data. That's it. So let's make a console log first, console log of users, and also let me handle this error. So console dot error of error. Fine. So let me see what is the data is coming in a console log. So back to here and then inspect and console. Let's click on watch API data. After some time, you'll get data back. Not getting. Yeah, it's got. So 10 records has come with an array, and this 10 records we have to loop it and display over here. That's quite simple. So fine. So let me loop it. So before that, okay, let's use less is equal to empty. Let me loop it. So for let user of users. So here each user I have to attach to the user list. So user list plus is equal to, I have to give a UL tag here. I mean display them like a UL tag. So let's make a UL, and you can give the class called watch list group and margin of 1, and inside I'll write li. Okay, li with the class called list group item, and what data you're going to display is ID. The person ID is, I think it's user.id. Let's check. I think yeah, here ID name, username, email, and all. Okay, ID and name. So name and email. Email is email directly, and finally the city. City I'll just make what address dot city. So user dot address dot city. Done. So this much data I need now, and after for loop I want to display this entire data back to the card. So card is having an ID watch API card. Let me grab the API card back here. So document dot query selector of hash dot inner HTML is equal to user list. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm just getting this data from this particular URL using Axios, and that data we are attaching back to this particular card. Okay, fine, and let's check the output back here. So click on text data, we got text data and JSON data, these two from local file, and this is actually from the external API called JSON placeholder, and without refreshing the page we got all the data. Okay, so this is how you will make a Axios. And again, as I said, um, in the next example we'll see Axios with REST API. So how to make get, post, put and delete requests using Axios. Okay, so that we'll see in a next video. Thank you so much for watching, and please subscribe to my channel, and we'll meet in the next video. Thank you.